Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
We are in the beautiful English Lake District and we are spending a few nights at the National Trust campsite at Wasdale Head, and we thought we'd give you a campsite tour.
So you might realise from some of our previous videos that we love getting out and about in our campervan, and the National Trust campsites are one of our go-to campsites that we use.
We love the Wasdale Head as well because it is such an isolated part of the Lake District. It's not easy to get to.
No, it can take, even from our base in the Yorkshire Dales, it can take us up to 3 hours to get here.
So once you leave the M6, it's going to be about an hour and a half from there to get round to Wasdale. But the good news is once you get to Wasdale, you can't go much further. So what we want to do in this video is to give you a tour of the campsite facilities,
show you some of the activities that you might be able to do from the campsite,
and give you an idea of what this campsite is like as a genuine all-round, all-year campsite.
Okay, so if we start with the facilities, when we first visited the campsite, probably 10 years ago, it was really old-fashioned and outdated. They've since refurbished the toilet block. There's one central toilet block that's got brand new showers and underfloor heating. It's really, really clean. Loads of sinks for washing and brushing your teeth. It's a really nice campsite with really great facilities.
And all our time going there, we've never run out of hot water,
No.
which is a miracle. It is genuinely a year-round campsite. So as well as the heated toilet block and all of that, it has a drying room, which is absolutely essential in winter. And it's also got indoor washing up facilities as well as a laundry facility. So if you go in there for a while, it's just a really good base, particularly in winter.
I love it in the washing up room that it's got a great big map of where you've been hiking for that day, so as you're washing up you can ponder what you've actually done. It is a really remote campsite. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's right at the head of the valley, about 14 miles from the nearest shop of any size. So the campsite does have its own little shop that stocks some of the essentials like pasta and tinned tomatoes and toothbrushes if you've forgotten them, and it has got a payphone because it is also very remote and doesn't have any internet connection.
And I think that's something you've got to be prepared for, because there is no phone signal at all. And it's not a matter of you can walk to the nearest point just to pick up some signal. You will not get signal in the valley. So it does provide that lovely, splendid isolation, and it does give you an absolute digital detox while you're there.
Which we really like, because we take our books and we can actually just chill out and relax in the evenings. There are no distractions.
The campsite is really geared towards people that are staying under canvas, although it does have good facilities for campervans as well. It's got about 8 hard standings with electric hookups that you have to book, and we do know from experience that in the summer you have to be pretty much on the money in terms of your bookings, because it does get booked up really quick. One of the things that they do offer, however, if you're not bothered about a particular campervan pitch or electric hookup, you can book in as a small tent, which is £21 a night, and you actually park on their car park, which is a hard standing. It just means that you don't get any electric hookup.
Being a National Trust campsite, it also does have a selection of glamping pods, and they were preparing getting the yurts ready for the season. So there is a bit of something for everyone. Behind the campsite, there is also a huge car park, which is National Trust owned, and it's got its own set of toilets. And it is actually really busy, and it can be busy all the way through the night, can't it? If you're there on a weekend, because it's where people doing the national 3 peaks park as part of the challenge. And sadly for this area, Scafell is the mountain that they climb in the middle of their 3 peaks, and it's usually through the night.
So it's a really odd experience if you get up in the middle of the night, because you can see the little trails of head torches either going up Scafell Pike or coming down. So bit of an unusual one, because you're in the middle of nowhere, but you could actually be woken up by traffic. But to be fair, it's not really happened to us.
No, it's never bothered us.
If we next look at what's in the area and what's to do around the Wasdale Head National Trust campsite, then it's pretty obvious that it's quite a remote mountainous area. And for me, it is just an ideal base to keep ticking off my Wainwrights. There are so many high peaks and beautiful peaks that surround the campsite, all within walking distance, so you can decide to do a single peak, or you could decide to do a really long horseshoe. But it is just beautiful and ideally situated for bagging your Wainwrights.
Yes, it is an ideal base if you're wanting to tick off Wainwrights. You could spend a whole week there and certainly cover many of them in the book that covers that section. There's also a lot of low-level walks that you could do. When we were there this weekend, it was really, really windy with gusts up to 50 miles an hour. So we decided not to go high, and we actually did a beautiful walk that just went round the base of Kirkfell. We did about 8 kilometres, saw about 4 other people, and it was just stunning. So there's lots and lots to do. There's valley walks, you can walk down by the lake. There are Herdwick sheep everywhere, which I absolutely love.
One of the secret little places that you have to go to is the beautiful little church, which unfortunately is the graveyard for many of the pioneering rock climbers that used to populate the area. We've been told by a friend that allegedly there is a beam of the church that was from a Viking longboat. Not sure whether that's an urban myth or not, John, but I believed it. And it's just a gorgeous little setting.
One of the things we love doing when we're out and about in the lakes is taking landscape photography, and this area really lends itself well. Whether you're down by the lake and it's a really still day and the water is like glass and the reflections of the fells are on the lake, or if you are walking through the valley and the different cloud formations that we've caught over the years. We've got some of our favourite photos that we've ever taken from that location.
And it doesn't matter what the weather's like. We've actually had a cracking weekend this weekend with really stormy skies, but it just gives you a whole gambit of photos that you can capture.
One of my favourite places in the valley is the local pub, which is the Wasdale Head Inn. It's got a hiker's bar called the Ritson Bar, and it's quite iconic, really. It has relented, and it's the only place in the valley that you can get any Wi-Fi. When we used to go, probably till quite recently, there would be a sign on the bar just saying, "Don't ask for a Wi-Fi code. You're here. If you're here, just talk to your friends."
Yeah, and there was just a tinge of sadness this weekend when we realised that they'd got Wi-Fi there, because naturally it just takes away from the isolation. But it's a cracking pub, it's a historic pub, it was the centre of English and British rock climbing pioneers, and it's just seeped in history.
And it does amazing food, and it's got a wood-burning stove that you can sit in front of on a cold winter's day like it was this weekend.
One of the things that we absolutely not embraced in the Wasdale Valley is wild swimming, because Wastwater is one of the lake districts and I think potentially Britain's deepest lakes, and it looks absolutely freezing. But whenever we're driving past, there always seems to be people in the dry robes and people taking dips. More disturbingly, this weekend we saw a couple of guys gearing up to do some deep diving, which just looked horrific, but it is an opportunity to get out on the water. We have seen people in the summer on paddleboards and I presume kayaks, but not something that we've really done yet.
Something of note is that wild camping is not permitted in any part of that valley. There are National Trust signs at every lay-by. Sadly, some of them get knocked out and kicked off the path so people can't see them, so that they think they can wild camp. But I know for a fact that the rangers do go up and down and they do check, and they will wake you up in the morning. And actually the campsite was £21 for the night. So if they don't want us there wild camping, then I think we should respect that. And the campsite has all the facilities that you'd ever want. There are a few pros and cons to staying at the campsite, but we're not going to talk about them as negative things, because we kind of turn that around into a positive. So the first thing is, it is probably the hardest campsite to get to in the Lake District, because you have to go all the way around the coastal road and then right into the valley. It's as far as you could get, I think.
And the drive into the valley is quite challenging. It's single track roads. It does have passing places, but to be fair, not many passing places. And as we've said earlier on, it's really popular for the National Three Peaks. So if you hit it at the wrong time or at the wrong time of year, you can be giving way or trying to thread your way through lots and lots of traffic.
But we see that as a bit of a bonus, because you have travelled all of that way and then you are just in the most stunning location. So it's worth it to us, because it's one of our favourite places in the lakes.
It is isolated, and that's a good thing, and it's something that we love about the great outdoors, but it can be inconvenient if you are desperately in need of phone signal or contact with the outside world. There is a payphone, and that covers everything in terms of emergencies, but don't expect to go up the valley and be able to use your mobile phone for the time that you're there.
It is one of only a handful of genuine all-year-round campsites that you can use as a base. It's got the facilities for drying all your damp, wet clothes. We've been there on New Year's Eve and spent a nice night in the pub. It's great, whatever the season.
And a final positive is we just think it's really affordable. If you are not wanting an electric hookup, it's £21 a night, which doesn't seem expensive for the facilities that you've got, and it's just a fantastic base for your adventures in that area.
So that's it from the Wasdale Head National Trust campsite.
We've spent many nights here throughout the seasons, and we fully intend to do that in the future, and we hope that some of the information in this video has been of use for you to make a decision as to whether you'd want to come out here. But we absolutely love it. So that's it from us.
Yep, bye.
See ya.